Bingo. So good morning, everybody. Thank you guys for showing up. I also want you to know that this is going to be interactive, meaning that Michael and I will be doing some talking, but we love the opinions of others, questions, but we want to make this like a working thing so that we're all kind of like helping each other out a little bit. And we're gonna lay heavy on the open house part of this, and we're also going to talk about some database building, but we're going to lean heavy on the open houses because I know there's quite, by show of just quick hands, how many of you guys are like sitting open houses or have someone else in your teams or whatever sitting open houses or looking to sit some, right? Everybody's looking to sit some and or do them, or how do you do them and nobody ever comes, and how do we make it more effective, all that kind of stuff. I'm just sitting by myself. How long do I need to do them? Let's talk about a few of those things and see if we can kind of help each other and encourage each other out. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Elgin Walker, obviously, and I've been selling real estate sometime around along the time when they first made dirt. I've been doing this like a long time. That's funny. Actually, in November, actually, be my 35th year doing this. I've been doing this a long time. And
hey, Elgin, John. So listen, y'all don't know this, but Elgin leased the promised land to Moses.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, don't put that pressure on me, John, but thank you. The one thing that I can say too is that when obviously 35 years ago, the real estate landscape looked a whole lot different than it does today. I mean, a lockbox really was a lockbox. I mean, it was a lock and it was a box. There was no Christnet. You didn't hop online and get to see a whole bunch of properties and pictures. Everything was more of a code, like a DOS code. If you want to go look at a house, you got your butt up out your seat and you drove to it and you looked at it. You were previewing properties for clients, all of that. Much different world than obviously we have today. Where we're at now, things are a lot more efficient. Things are done a lot differently, but there's some constants. There's some constants that work well, and you can add layers on top of those constants that make it even more effective and efficient for you. But there's some things that are basics that really, really do work. And I personally don't do a lot of open houses anymore. And that's more than I want to do. I'm just at a different phase of where I'm at in my career. When I first started, all I did was open houses. One, I was broke, so it was easy to do open house. Two, I didn't have any clientele. I was young, and as I was trying to build a clientele and put transactions together, that was a good point for me to start doing it and working with some open houses. So I'm going to at least share some things that I think are good things. I'm going to ask Michael to share some stuff, and anybody else that has some opinions, some of you that are out there, you have some questions, let's try to tackle some of them and see what we can do. One of the first things I want you guys to really think about, though, is when you're doing open houses, you really need to have a good mindset. And what I mean by a good mindset is the mindset is I'm gonna be here from 10 to 2. I'm gonna get here at 5 minutes to 10. I'm gonna put a sign in front of the house and I'm gonna sit here. See, your open house really needs to be an event, and you should think of it that way. This is an opportunity for you to be on stage. This is an opportunity for you to be on stage, not only to assist if it happens to be your seller, or if you're sitting for another listing agent. This is a chance where that listing agent will maybe want to ask you to sit other open houses later and make them look good with their seller. But you also have to have the mindset of what you're really looking to accomplish when you sit open houses. So just by a quick, show of hands, when you're sitting open houses, how many of us are sitting them figuring that we're going to sell the house that we're sitting? Anybody? Right. So that is far from the case. See, that's not the reason you sit in an open house. That is a good reason, If that happens, that's gravy on top. That's your dessert. That's not your meat and potatoes. Because the majority of time, people that walk into open houses, unless, and we got we have some exceptions, new construction, that type of stuff. But we're talking about your normal retail open house. The majority of people do not, those houses normally do not sell because of the open house. And if they do sell because of the open house, it's generally not the agent that is sitting the open house that actually is able to quote unquote sell the house and use those people as clients. Particularly nowadays, a lot of clients come to open houses and they already have an agent, and they'll come to the open house and then they'll go back to their agent to help them quote unquote write the deal. So that's one of the reasons why, with a mindset standpoint, you want to be in the frame is that, okay, during this time frame today, I am on stage and I'm looking to gather clients and help hopefully assist other people buy. And what you also really need to remember is other people sell, right? Because if you're in a neighborhood and you're sitting in the open house, one of the first things that we'll say mindset wise is, I just got, we just had some nosy neighbors. Yeah, we got a few nosy neighbors. Yeah, you're going to get a little bit of that. But what are those nosy neighbors actually looking for? Are they just looking to be nosy and just come in and see what folks got in their house? Sometimes. But sometimes they are like interviewing you from afar. They're looking to see how you're doing on stage. They're looking to see what you're doing to market the place for when they're ready to sell. Or they're seeing what the price discloses at, particularly in the market that we were previously in. They're like, wow, this thing is on the market for $1 million. If this thing sells, honey, we got to put our house on the market. Let's see, right? This is a mindset thing. We're on stage. So there's a couple of things I'm going to say, and then I'm going to ask you guys what you're doing as we continue to move on with this. One of the biggest things for me with an open house, and this is what I believe is one of the biggest mistakes that we all make sometimes in doing open houses, is how many open house signs do you put out? Anybody?
I started with 6 or 7 when I first started, but now I've grown to do it, and so I try to get as many as I can. So
right. So here's what I would tell you. I would tell you honestly, by rule of thumb, you should be looking, if you're going to put on an event, it's like you are promoting something. It's almost like if you're promoting a fight, you're promoting a basketball game, you're promoting something, and you want as much free advertising out there that spreads around. I personally think that you need to have around 20 signs. You need to put about 20 signs up. I don't think you should ever put less than 10. Really, if you're putting on an event. Now, if you're just going up to a house and say, I'm sitting in an open house today because you want to feel productive and you want to act like you're doing something, or you want to make the seller believe you're doing something that day, yeah, go up there with 4 or 5 signs, right? But if you're going to put on an event and you want to maximize your exposure, you need to put up a lot more signs than that. And in my opinion, around 20 signs is that magic number to begin with, as a beginning.
Do you mean signs in the neighborhoods, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Open house, directional signs, in the neighborhood. All right. I would also put some of those signs near busy intersections. And if your house is farther away from some of those busy intersections, you need more signs. Don't don't put the signs a mile apart, because you know what people do? People go to the first sign and they're looking for the signs of where the rest of it is going to go. Now they go up. Now they go. You go. I mean, think about it. I know, at least I know I would. So I'll put this on me. You guys might not do this, but if I'm driving, first of all, I wasn't planning to go to the open house. But it looked like, oh, I like this neighborhood. I'm going to open house. I bust a left, right? I'm coming on up the streets. Now which way I go? I pass 3, 4 streets. Ain't no more signs. I pass another street. Ain't no more signs. My next move was a U-turn, because I had something else I was going to do anyway, right? You need signs, and there needs to be some build up to getting to your property. You know what else that does though? Just think about it. If you live in a neighborhood, and when you come out in the neighborhood, you have no intention of buying or selling, but you look up on your street and there's 10, 15 signs. There's signs everywhere. First thing you think like is, what's going on? What is this? Particularly when you're used to seeing 1 or 2 signs, right? So now you've got you're bringing out opportunities, even if nobody comes to your open house at all. You got 20, 25 signs up. Believe you me, if you put people in seeing your signs and your activity of what you're beginning to do. Because remember, we're hosting an event. We're hosting an event. To me, I believe that you should put your signs out much earlier than when your open house starts. Remember, this is an event. Because it's an event, you're trying to actually generate and bring enough activity to yourself, because you're looking to build your database with potential clients. So if your open house starts at, let's just say 12 o'clock or whatever, somewhere in that ballpark, don't wait and put your signs up at 11. Put your signs up at 8 in the morning. All morning, all day, your signs are up. 20, 25 signs that people are going to be seeing coming and going all day. And if you have to, then just don't put the sign up in front of the house, or even better yet, get one of those little tag things, or put a tag on the door saying that your open house starts, come back at such and such time. That also builds up people wanting to come to your open house, right? And to see it. And one of the last things here, before we get into some other stuff, and I want to open it up and ask Michael to jump in, is this. Please, 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 schedule your open houses for longer times. See, I think we set up open houses and we'll go 10 to 2, or 10 to 12, or 2 to 4. That's just not enough time. See, we're setting up open houses. We're setting up open houses as if people have planned to come to your open house because they ain't got nothing else to do in their life. They didn't wake up in the morning wanting to come to open house with 1, 2, 3, 4 Main Street. They got other stuff going on. And you have to strategically think of that. Particularly if you're doing an open house. Let's take Saturdays. I think Saturdays and Sundays are different. But let's take Saturdays. Saturdays, depending upon what people have going on in the morning, if they have kids, what do kids do? Kids have activities. If they're into sports, football, basketball, soccer, whatever they're into, they're going to these games in the morning. They're going to these games. But when will they possibly come by? When the game's over. Your open house is over. Your open house is over when the people are coming back. What about people if they have to work that day? Just different things. Or those are errand running days. The people are working all week, or now they might be working from home, but they're working. And then come Saturday is the time where they come out and are doing certain things for their, for their family. So if you have your open house in such a short window of time, you're not allowing yourself a maximum opportunity to really hold your event. Like me, I personally have found the later, the better, particularly in the summer. I mean, if daylight savings time is rolling to like 8:30, and you're leaving your open house at like 3. I mean, and particularly, for those of us that have been in California, how hot it had been. When you got a heat wave going on, folks are sitting under some air conditioner somewhere. When do they start coming out? In the later part of the afternoon, right? And you've got sunshine all of that time. Why not utilize, those times? I know that you have to pick your signs up at a certain time. Don't do that. You'll get fined. Or, some agents, for lack of a better word, they might snitch on you and tell because they mad because they're not doing the work that you're doing, and you don't want that. But in the morning, at least in the areas that we're in, at 8 o'clock in the morning, you can put your signs up, and you have to take them down before you leave. So before we go into some other things, give me some thoughts on those things. How many of you guys are doing that sort of stuff right now? Well, hopefully that's a couple of tips that you guys can start with. Michael, why don't you jump in here so I can be quiet for a minute?
No, that's great. I'll tell you the number just with that last spin, make your open house longer. The number of open houses that I've done that, hey, I'm doing 4 hours or I'm doing 5 hours, and it comes to that last hour, say I'm going to do 10 to 3 or, from 12 to 5. Well, come 5 o'clock, I start breaking down, I get ready, I go to the door, I'm getting ready to shut it down, and all of a sudden a car pulls up. Are you still open? Oh, yeah. And then the next car comes up. And I'm there for another half an hour, 45 minutes because people are just coming up because I'm trying to shut down. And all I needed to do was keep it open for that little bit longer because that's when people are free and that's when they're going. The other thing I would bring up with that is everybody thinks, like Elgin said, my open house is from 10 to 2 or from 12 to 6 or however long we want to do it. So my open house starts at 12. No, your open house starts at 8 in the morning when you start putting the signs up. But not even that. Your open house starts when you secure the open house. When you decide you're going to do that open house, when you start promoting it, that's when your open house starts, right? Because that's when you have people contacting you. That's when you're contacting people about attending your open house. That's when you need to do some of your follow-up and some of your marketing and inviting them. And, when you're door knocking and inviting the people in the neighborhood, hey, this is here. And your open house doesn't end at 5 o'clock or at 6 o'clock when you shut down and pick up all your signs. Your open house ends, right? Never, because you're doing all your follow-up. You're following up with everybody who's come through there. So that's the big things. You have your time. Your start time is when you secure it. And then you got to make sure that you're using, somebody, the area. You're farming the area. You're circle prospecting. You're inviting people to the area. If you need help finding people, talk to your title rep. They will definitely help you out. They're going to get you there. They're going to help you know the part. But you're inviting people. You're going on social media. You're, getting everybody to know about it. That's big. And then just becoming friends and following up. That's my 2 cents on that. Is usually got to open it up, like he said. Don't open it up just the day. Open it up for the whole week, and then after the follow up is, that's where. What do they say? The fruit is in the follow up, or I don't know what they're saying exactly, but yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Good job, Michael. Hey, one of the things he just touched on too, which I think is also an excellent point, is which I was going to lead into, is if you're like really using open houses as part of your lead gen strategy, because that's really what this is. It's a lead generation strategy that is, it's obviously because your lead gen strategies are either going to be roll your sleeves up, sweat equity type things, which an open house is, or there are going to be some things where you're putting some money out there, marketing or some sort, and looking to quote unquote buy leads in that fashion. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I know that particularly when you first start or you're switching businesses or going from part-time to full-time, all the things that we've all done, do, or experienced, that there's only so much in the budget for what you can do or not do. And these are excellent activities that you're able to do without. So I think too, when you go, you should always go at least about 50 houses before the open house that you're going to be attending, and try to meet the neighbors, or at least drop flyers, something along the lines of it being an open house, et cetera. And they may or may not come. But there's a psychology around that, again, other than just getting people to the open house. Because remember, you're on stage. So you're on stage when you're doing your open house. You're on stage when you're doing your door knocking. You're on stage if you're doing door drops. So again, what you're looking to do is you're looking to really build people to put into your database and excitement. Because guess what? The people, one, a nice line is that they have an opportunity now to pick their neighbor. You know, you're homeless, this homeless Michelle, you have a good opportunity now to pick your neighbor. Hey, who in your family or friends that always come by your house that always say they love it here and they love to live here? It's an opportunity to open that dialogue with them. Now, they may or may not tell you anything. They may or may not have anything, but you're not opening some dialogue to build a relationship of someone that you can then put in there, your the database for later. Because just because you put some signs and stuff up and your sign is in the yard, maybe they don't necessarily remember you. I mean, you think about it, how many times have you met somebody you don't remember, like 20 minutes later? You just shook somebody's hand. We'll probably get off this Zoom and y'all won't remember who I am, right? That's just the way it goes. That's just, it takes some build up for people to really know who you are and really remember your name, right? So I think that's a big point. That's all part of the event, like Michael was saying. It's kind of leading you up to that. Another thing, and I've seen Michael talk about this, and I'll even ask him to expound on it a little bit more. But however you guys do it, because everybody does it differently, you should get as much information as you can from people at the open house. And we can talk about techniques and stuff for that. And I don't badger people about it. But you want to collect as much information as you can. Let's suppose that you're at least able to connect hopefully their name. Some people don't want to give you the phone number, and they may give you a bad number. Yeah, they may give you a bad email address. I mean, folks do that. So don't worry about them. Don't worry about the ones that won't. Worry about the ones that will, right? But let's suppose that you have been able to connect and develop a little bit of a relationship with someone that you're going to be following up with. I think one of the most important things that you can do is write them. Yes, like write them a personal note and send it to them. Because think about it, how many people or how many of us get handwritten notes anymore from anybody? And if they do get a handwritten note, doesn't it stand out a little bit more? Here's the key though to a handwritten note. And I said, if you guys see my wife's on the call, and she'll tell you that I did this all of the time. Is when you meet somebody, an open house or whatever, and you write them a personal note, you get your butt in your car and you get to the post office that night. You get your personal note out as quickly as possible so that hopefully they get it the next day. And you may say, why? Why does it have to go out that night? For the same reason some of y'all ain't gonna remember me at the end of this thing. They're not gonna remember you because they shook your hand and talked to you in an open house. What is it? They say it takes 6 to 7 times for people to actually have some interaction with you to really remember whom you are and associate you with however they associate you with. So you get that personal note out that evening. I know that I've seen Michael talking with some of the mentees, which I think is great as well, is that you probably should give them a phone call or a quick text that same Sunday night or Saturday night. Now, it doesn't have to be hey, this is Eldon Buchanan, open house at 123 Main Street. You seem like you like it. We want to know if you want to put an offer in. I mean, that's not building a relationship, and that's going to bug the heck out of some people, right? But to actually maybe call them and say, hey, I just want to thank you for coming to my open house. It was a pleasure meeting you. Hopefully I can speak with you later. If you have any questions about this or any other real estate, have something of value to give to them. Hey, would you like a newsletter? I'm putting out newsletters in the area. Would you like to get information about that? Would you like information about some of my other open houses? Stuff like that, other properties we got on the market. And you put them in your database. And by the way, when you put people in your database, don't put them there and just let them sit there. If you met people in an open house, obviously they like to go to open houses, right? So what if you were doing an open house the next week and you were doing an open house at a different property? Maybe that's worth a quick text. Maybe that's worth a quick note and say, hey, this is Eldon. I met you at 1234 Main Street. Today I'm going to be at 62530 Yellow Rose. We're going to have that house open. I just wanted to personally invite you if you'd like to come see it. They may or may not come see it, but so what? And you think about marketing and being and becoming part of a person's mind share. How many things do we get in the mail? How many commercials do we see on TV? And we're doing something else, or it comes in the mail and we throw it away, but we remember it. And what I'm talking about is costing you little to no money to be remembered, because at the end of the day, you want to be first or second in a person's mind for what you do. And real quick, some of you probably have heard this, but you think about this, the story of Diet Coke and Diet Pepsi. I was taught this many years ago, but it actually, you think about it, it still works. If you're at a restaurant and you happen to ask the waiter or waitress for a Diet Coke, and they say, I don't have Diet Coke, the majority of people will then ask, well, do you happen to have Diet Pepsi? And if they say no, they don't have Diet Pepsi, generally, what's the next thing that you say? You don't say, do I have Diet Root Beer? Do you have Diet Orange? Do you have Diet? You say two things, and after that, the next response is, well, what do you have? You want to be Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi. If you're Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi, when someone is thinking about real estate, you've now eliminated all of your competition except one other person. So now you get to the table and you get an opportunity to only compete with one person. And you look at your stats and everything else, is that if you happen to be the person that they call or reach out to, and you get to meet with them the first time, and you look like you do on your card or when you shook their hand the first time, and you actually look like you can chew gum and talk and have an intelligent, authentic conversation, the majority of the time, they don't speak to number two. The majority of the time, they don't. And I would even tell you that, and then I do this myself, particularly earlier in my career, if that I was unable to present to them in a good enough fashion, or they still wanted to talk to number two, just meant that in the majority of the time, I had not personally done a good enough job and showed them enough value that they were convinced that I was the person that could help them the best. That takes a little self-reflecting, especially when you do a couple of deals here and there and you think you're good. But that's the truth of the matter. The truth of the matter is you've now met with them. You've now presented to them. They have not chosen you or not chosen you yet. And before anybody says, oh, that's not true 100%, I'm not talking about 100% of the time. I'm talking about increasing the odds in your favor. There's absolutely nothing that we can do and say about any form of lead generation that's going to 100% put the odds in your favor. But let me tell you though, if you can get, hey, in baseball, if you can get it right 3 out of 10 times, you can go to the Hall of Fame. I mean, in our business, if you can go on 10 presentations and you can pull 6 or 7 of them, you're a mega agent. That's just keeping it real. Mike, you want to jump in here for me, or anybody else have any questions or statements they want to put on it?
Yeah, I was just going to say as well, just on all those lines, just like he was saying, we look a lot of times for this immediate result. I want to see, hey, like that's what he said, are you looking to sell the house? Yes, that's a bonus, but that's not the case. It's marketing. When we're doing an open house, this is what we're doing. So a lot of times we don't know what's happening. So when we're sending those notes that he's talking about, we don't know what's happening in the background. But that person gets that note, oh, their spouse or their friend's over. What's that? Oh, it's a card. I went to this open house the other day and I spoke to this realtor and he actually sent me a thank you card. Oh, what was his name? I was thinking of selling him. This is how you get your name out and everything. It's all the stuff that you don't see happening. It's the duck's feet under the water that you don't get to see happening, but that you're building up slowly. That's building your name. And that's why we're getting out there and we're doing the open houses, because we're marketing ourselves. And like Elgin says, it's the least expensive way for us to get our name out there. Just get out there, go out. It's you and the person, you're putting out your personality. And then on your follow-up calls, like you said, when you're calling, it's not all about the sale. It's not all about you ready to buy this. It's building your relationship, right? People are going to end up working with who they know, like, and trust. And I always say, things grow on people. You all heard that statement. Oh, that person grew on me. Well, you want to grow on all these people. You know, every touch is just a little bit more that you get to know them, or they get to know you. You know, when they come to the open house, now they see a card. Oh, great! Now you gave them a follow-up call. Now they see a piece of email. Now you invited them to the next open house, and they walk into the open house and they see, oh, hey, Elgin, you're thinking, wait, who is this? I don't. Then you go back. Oh yeah, I remember you were at the last open house. Okay, but they get to know you, and you get to know them. So just slowly building up. Just keep putting it out there. That's how we're going to keep building our business, and people are going to know, like, and trust you that way. That's it.
Yeah, excellent. I agree with everything that you just said, Michael. So, and one of the big things in open houses is you will get people that will buy from you, and obviously they're just buying other property. They won't necessarily buy the one you come in. I can tell you, my first transaction that I did came from an open house. I mean, we didn't have the type of trainings and stuff that we had that we have now. But my first transaction almost 35 years ago came from sitting in an open house, and it was not the house that I was sitting at. Because, you know, I didn't have any training, so first thing I did was something you're not supposed to do. So don't do this, but I did it. And that was, you're at your open house and someone came in, they were quote unquote pre-approved, they had a good little relationship or whatever. And I knew that there was a property that was close that they would like. And it was a hot market when I got into business at that time. It was hotter than it was, you know, just a little while ago. And yeah, I closed the open house and I took them to the other house. Because remember, I was broke. So I had to sell something. So I closed the open house I was at. Don't do that now. Don't do that. Figure it out differently. But I did. And I went to and showed them this other property. And then I went and they liked it. I went back to my open house and I finished my open house up. And then I met with them and wrote an offer on the place that we looked at after leaving the open house. So the moral of that, though, is the open house afforded me an opportunity to sell a house. It just not was that house. And you had the right, and again, I don't know, I didn't have any good training. I just did a whole lot of stuff a lot. And there, and there was no plan B. You know, we had a plan A, and plan A was, this better work. And if not, then, you have to find something else to do. So there was a little bit different motivation for me at those times. But that's what I'm saying. That's the moral of that. Then when I started doing, I never really geographically farmed a lot, but you start to find your niches of what works for you in this business. But for a minute, I was doing some geographical farming, and I made sure that I set open house on any listings that I got in that farm. And I made sure that every week before I sat an open house, I dropped flyers off. And I'm telling you, when I said I'll drop flyers off, I dropped off basic flyers. They were black and white, printed on a Xerox machine. I go into the office late at night because I had no money to be running a whole bunch of flyers, and I would just run them on the Xerox machine. Don't do that, y'all. But I did it. You put it on the Xerox machine, and my broker kept asking, "Where's all the paper going?" Paper was going to me promoting what I felt I needed to promote to get people to come to my open house, and more importantly, though, for other people in the neighborhood to see that I was doing certain things and working. And what that led to, though, that led to more listings. Because eventually, if you're not already, and I don't care how much you love working with buyers, there's going to come a point where you're going to want to shift, and you're going to want to have a little bit more control of your business, and you're going to want to work with some listings. I'm not telling you to ever work with buyers, because we do, but I'm telling you that the old saying that listers last, I mean, they really do. You just think about it. You have any type of inventory at any type of a store. Like you don't have a grocery store, and somebody comes into your grocery store and they say, "I want an apple," and you say, "Hold on a minute," and you run to the grocery store next door and go get an apple and bring the apple back in, right? you got to have some inventory. So if you're a realtor and you're helping families with their homes, the homes are your inventory. You need inventory to not only have for people to come to, but guess who your best buyers are? Your best buyers come generally from signs and or from listings, particularly nowadays, a lot of it's online, but still. But if you ain't got no inventory, if you're not sitting in the open houses, if you're not visible, how are they going to list it for you? I mean, what would drive them to that? But I lead all that into your database. This is just another form as well of how to add to your database. Because you see, your database becomes your book of business. See, your database becomes something that you continuously are able to work, and you can bulletproof to where the people in your database only work with you. Couple of mistakes that people make with their databases. One is you don't put enough people in the database. You say, oh, you know what, my mom, she knows I sell real estate. She's not gonna, she's gonna buy from me already. Oh, my Uncle Joe, oh, my cousin Betty, whatever it is. Oh, you know what, the boys that was on my ball team, they gonna come to me. See, here's the thing. They're not gonna just come to you. And it's not gonna be because they have anything against you. It's gonna be for a couple of reasons. The first one is, think about it. People that you know like that, say people that you went to school with, or family members, see, they know you from something else. They know you from, if you was a ball player, they know you from playing ball. If you happen to be in another business before, they know you for that. If you had been like an Amway or something, they still got soap in the garage that you sold them. They know you from something else other than selling real estate, right? But they love you. They respect you. They want to see you succeed, but they don't trust you yet that you know what you're doing in real estate. But because they love you and all of that, they're not going to say that to you. They're not going to say, Elgin, I've known you 30 years. There ain't no way in the world I'm going to give my house for you to sell. They're not going to say that. They're going to let me down easy, right? So what you have to do is although you know these people, those are the people that you have to treat even better than people that you don't know. Because people that you also put in your database, particularly the people that you don't know already, they're supposed to earn the right to be in your database. See, everybody ain't got to get in your database. They need to earn the right to get in your database and get the knowledge and the value that you're able to provide for them. And let me tell you what people will do that know you for something else. They may not use you right away, but you know what they will do? They'll refer you. They'll refer you because they want you to succeed, number one. And number two, they want to see if you're any good for when they're ready to use you. You're almost going to be a guinea pig on their referral, right? But they will refer you. And as you do a good job for that and you continuously build your database, now all of a sudden, from doing your open houses, from doing what other lead generation activities you're doing, you now are building a book of business of people that will do business with you on an ongoing basis and refer you on an ongoing basis, and that you can also build some loyalty to. Because one of the second mistakes that we make is that thinking that whether they are people that are in our sphere or whatever or not, that like we're the only realtor that they know, and they're just our lead. They're not just your lead. I mean, there's people in here on this Zoom right now, and we all work in the same areas or do something that we know of people, and we all know some of the same people, and we're thinking they're our lead. I got folks probably in my database that I think are my lead, and they in Michael's database too, right? But what you have done is you narrow the opportunities that you have within your database. That's why you have to continuously feed your database and continuously bring value into your database and your book of business. Because see, you're not going to be able to in most cases. Now, some of y'all might have a little more money than me, but you're not going to be able to outspend Zillow. You're not going to be able to outspend Redfin. But what you can do is you can build a book of folks that they can spend, but they can't penetrate, because you can provide this value to this group of people that will always do business with you. I'll tell you one of the things that I still think work, and you can do it as much as that. You can, particularly if you're just starting, and people say they do this, but they don't, is you should actually put 100 people. You should have 100 people in your database, 100 people that has your name. You have their name, their address, their phone number, email address, and if possible nowadays, their social media, Facebook, Messenger, whatever. You should have at least 100 people. I will tell you honestly that if you touch those people 3 times a month for 12 months, that there are 12 transactions in that 100 people for you if you really work it and you do it continuously. Here's what most people will do. Most people won't come up with 100. You'll come up with 25. You'll come up with 50. You won't touch them 3 times a month. You'll touch them every other month. You'll touch them, you know, once or twice a year, right? 3 times a month to at least 100 people will produce 12 transactions, or I should even say it better, 12 opportunities for you to perform. What's a touch? A phone call, text, a personal note, a newsletter, an email, right? A messenger on Facebook. What if your 100 people, you have all of them in your database, and you have them on Facebook, and Facebook tells you when their birthdays are? What if when their birthdays come up, and I was doing this a lot, and I fell off, because I've been telling myself I'm about to get back on this, because it works really well, is when people's birthdays come up. Now they get like, 150, 200, 300 people, happy birthday, blah, 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 right? But what if of those 100 people that come up with your birthday, and what if you picked up the phone? And what if you did something really quick, like, hey, Michael, it's Elgin. Listen, I saw it was your birthday. I didn't want to just leave you anything in your newsfeed like you do. I just want to say happy birthday to you, and blah, 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 blah. Now they get this saved by video versus just getting it in your newsfeed. Do you think you stand out from the other 200, 300 birthday wishes they get? And what if, for whatever reason, you happen to miss their birthday? Maybe you miss it on purpose, because I've done this before. You missed them on their birthday. And then what if the same thing, you pick up the phone? Like, hey, Gene, dude, I can't believe I did this. I am like so sorry, bro, man. I owe you an apology, dude. I owe you an apology because I missed your birthday. Man, I can't believe I missed your birthday. Happy belated birthday, dude. Blah, 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 blah. Hey, we'll catch up together. We'll have a drink. We'll have some food, whatever the case may be. Do you think that stands out? And maybe it stands out a little bit differently from the other stuff? Do you think that's part of helping build a relationship? Now, Gene knows I sell real estate. I didn't call Gene and say, happy birthday, do you want to buy a house? I don't have to even see, when you're building your book of business like this, you don't have to beat people over the head with that. You don't have to beat people over the head with that. I'll even share this with my wife and I. We were talking about some stuff here earlier, because she does her business different than I do my business.
You just better not forget her birthday.
They come and they go, and her people are gathered differently than some of my people, and then they just go and they do their thing, and I look up and all of a sudden, she's put together another contract. But they build, but it's just done a different way. But it's still a way of building rapport and relationships. So what if you're able to build 100, 200, 300 relationships with people? And what if all those relationships, you're able to do something, and if you haven't read this book, you should read it, called The Raving Fans. You want to create raving fans. And if you want to know what a real raving fan is, we've been in business a long time, but we have people that get mad at their friends if they don't use us. And will call us and say, man, I am so mad. My cousin just bought a house, but I wanted you to know, I'm sorry. I didn't know they was going to buy it. And I just can't believe they did that. But see, that's what you want. You want people that actually even hears of anybody considering doing anything with real estate. Say, oh, you got to call my guy. You got to call my girl. You got to, and at that particular point, they're already pretty much sold on you because you're coming from somebody they like and trust as well, who's already done business with you or knows somebody that's done business with you, and that builds your referral base. Mike, what you got?
No, it's just that same follow-up, like you said, if you're building up that referral base, to go on top of all that, we talked about text, phone calls, messenger, big thing, video. Like you just said, when you're doing that Facebook, that call, the chat, but if you can do video, add video into anything that you're doing, is going to be a huge follow-up. Because if you can't talk to them person to person, video is the next best thing. That's gonna keep you there. And then, like he said, you're just working your database, making sure that you're touching them, you have the set times, the context, and it's got to be a system. I don't care, like he said, Pilar and him work something different. I'm sure I work different than both of you, but you have to figure out your system. Whatever you do, however you have your plan, set it up that you're going to be contacting them in some sort of way 3 times a month, enough that you're going to do that, and then follow it. Watch anybody's business and you can see, oh, they've been doing it. And it takes, I remember one time my business was going a little slow, and Elgin saw me start, in an office when we were working at our last company. He saw me in the office, and he's like, I see you doing this more. I see you doing your open houses more. Just watch, it's going to take about 3 months, but 3 months from now, your business will pick up. And boom, 3 months later, I was seeing some production and getting a lot more meetings and everything like that. So you've got to lay the groundwork and just do it. But it's a consistency thing. You just got to be consistent with everything that you do, and make a plan and follow it with it. So that's the big thing. And working your database is huge. Put everybody in that you qualify, like he said, at first, and then work them. And when I say work them, not but just contact them, build your relationship. I always say that we have the best business in the world, because what is our job really? Making friends. That's all our job. Making friends and keeping strong relationships and building our relationships to be better and better. So all I got to do is get to know you better. What? You want to have a meeting? Let's meet. Let's have dinner. Let's have coffee. We build our relationship. Now you know me. You like me. I grew on you. You trust me. And then what are you going to do? Okay, now it's time to sell a house, or somebody says they're going to want to buy or sell a house. Now you know, like, and trust me. You're going to contact me or tell them to contact me, and then I've done my business. The business part, the actual contract, transaction, buying and selling the house, that's just there. But our business, has been said, is lead generation, and it's building relationships. That's how I believe it. Just build your relationships. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Great. So, hey, one other thing I want to touch on is a little bit, quote unquote, off subject, but on subject. We're in October, right? So we've entered the 4th quarter of 2022. If you successfully want to run a business, you need to have a business plan. You need to have goals. You need to have a working plan. You call it whatever you want to. I've gone from the years of having a 15, 20 page business plan that you never look at. You get it, you put it in a drawer, you're done, it's great. To where it can be something very simple, and it can be 1 page, because it's a document that you are going to continuously use, right? You're going to continuously track where you're at. If you're using P&L statements, stuff like that, that will track. But here's the point of what I want to make with that. We're in October. 2023 is around the corner. A whole lot of brokers take off starting Halloween. I've never seen, I don't know when Halloween became such a big day. But those have been around longer, they can, the John Sullivans and the Jeans and can tell you that for whatever reason, when Halloween comes, it seems like real estate agents just take off. They take off. I mean, you know, what comedians that talk about when, you know, some person goes on break, they go on break. They like gone. They're gone, dude. They are gone. Thanksgiving, Christmas, everybody's in the spirit of not making money, I guess. You want to do yourself something really well? This month, October, not November, not December. You start to work and hopefully put together your business plan, quote unquote, working document for 2023. It's going to do a couple of things for you. Number one, it will keep you in a aggressive working mindset while everybody else is off trick-or-treating and eating turkey. Because you get to do that too. You just also are supposed to work your business like other real businesses do, right? The second thing you'll do is this. Have you ever thought, what if I was able to have 13 months to the year instead of 12 like everybody else? You want 13 months? Start your business plan for 2023 in December. You're giving yourself a head start on whatever your goals and things that you want to achieve. Remember, don't make it so much that your business plan has to be perfect. It can be something real similar. Like for us, you know, I don't put down how many deals we're going to do or this, that, and the other. Put down how many families we tend to help. You know, I use the word families because I want to continuously humanize the people that I'm working with and for, and not have them like a number, like you want to go to the doctor's office. We know the doctor sees a whole bunch of people, but you want the time that the doctor's looking at you, you want the doctor, you want to feel like the doctor only talking to you that day or that moment, right? So you want your clients to feel that way. So we talk about it, and everything is done in families, because the more families you help, whatever your financial goals are, whatever those things are, that happens because of how many families you help. And how many families you help happens on how many relationships you build. So this is and I know this is off quote unquote database building. I know this is off open houses, but this all leads to the same thing. It leads to the same thing, because what it will do is it will continuously make your business grow. One other thing I forgot to say on open houses, I was going to say too, is you want to doing something different works. Something that I haven't done in a long time, but that worked for a while, is you may want to try Thursday late afternoon open houses, particularly when it's in the summer, particularly when it's hot. You have people that are coming home Thursdays and they're getting ready for their weekend. I would start the open house at like 4 o'clock, and particularly if the house is vacant or something, go at 7 or 8. Maybe you have some water, maybe you have some lemonade. Not a whole lot of stuff that you got to clean up and spend a whole lot of money on, but something that somebody's come home from work, they get a little something, they get to stop for a minute, they've been in traffic, they've been driving, all of a sudden they can take a little break or something before they go in the house. Just another little tip. I don't know, but John, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah, John, a couple of things. I didn't get to jump in on the open house, but one of the things that we used to do with the open houses, it was we had a lot of success with, because we're not just looking for buyers that we're adding to the database, like you said, but we're looking for sellers at an open house. And by that, I mean, you putting out your flyers there. We used to do a nosy neighbor flyer, and we would put that right on the big headline on the top of the flyer. It said nosy neighbor open house. Because it got people's attention. But then what happened? They're curious anyway. Well, let's just go take a look. But why are they going to get out of their comfort zone and walk in? Because they're thinking about something, maybe not now, but maybe in 6 months, 3 months, or next year. So you adding them in their database. So that used to work really, really well. And then the other thing I want to say real quick, Elgin, is what you were just touching on, the end of the year stuff. I always, historically, I'm going to grind harder October, November, December. Why? Because of exactly what you said. The competition is going on vacation. They're taking a mental vacation. They're kind of half foot, half in, half out. They're thinking about, the holidays, all that kind of stuff. But going back to what Michael said about his experience with, you grinding for 90 days, you're going to have some business. What work you do right now, October, November, December, comes in play in January next year. If you don't, you're gonna get through the holidays and man, I'm gonna get started. And it's January again, and you're gonna be like middle of January, oh man, but then Valentine's Day is coming up, and you're gonna be March or April before you have transactions coming in your pipe. You wanna kill it the front end of the year, you kill it now. And you start now. And the other thing is, whether it's open houses or where are you meeting your people? When are you connecting with your sphere of influence? When are you connecting, meeting people? Where are all the holiday parties, all the gatherings, all the things? It's this time of year, right? You got to be working it, and you got to be talking and doing what you do. That's what I got to say. I mean, I love this time of year because hey, the weather's cooler for open houses, but really there's more people out in a little bit more of a festive casual mode as we get in towards the holidays, and they tend to be a little more open, a little more thinking of next year. You want to build your don't worry about whether they're gonna buy or sell today. Worry about building your I used to call it my first of the year club. First of the year club, man. Yeah, no, I want to do something, but after the first of the year, great, awesome. Guess when they're getting a call? After the first of the year. I know 90 days ahead of time that these guys are thinking about something early in the year next year. So start your first of the year club. So I just want to throw that in.
No, thanks, John. No, all that's real good tidbits. If you guys have some questions, or if you'd like to make some comments, just like we try to start on time, I try to end on time, so it's 11 o'clock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the recording here in a second. I'm going to stay on for maybe 5 or 10 minutes or whatever. If you guys have things that you want to say, ask questions, input. I don't know if Michael has the ability to do that or not with his schedule, but I'll sit here for a few minutes and talk. And if not, then I'll just see y'all the next time. I am going to send this video out as well, so you guys can have it as a reference. One thing I would like to ask: could anybody tell me, did you find any value? Did you find any value? And if you didn't, then don't hurt my feelings. I done already done it now. But did you find any value? Hopefully, some things that were helpful for you. How about y'all folks? It's off camera. I can't see y'all, but I see y'all. Right? You guys get any value from it? How did it, was it worth your while? Will you come back to some other things and tell some folks? Let's help as many people as we can.